Here's a thought that just occurred to me while I was just setting up this episode. That lie check about hacking the systems. That's what they were. That woman in that wee booth was fixing on her way up. She didn't give us a password to the system though. If we managed to get a password, could we have done it without lying? That's a thought. Well, oh well, let's go. Uh-huh.
You don't know how glad I am to see you. You must have said something to get under Akande's skin. She's gone, and I don't think she's coming back. And you lunatic, you broke into the board's own fortress just to rescue one doddering old man. You are absolutely out of your mind, and I can't begin to thank you enough.
Are you alright? What did they do to you?
I'm all right, thanks to you. Akande wanted my cooperation. I'm quite sure she would have beaten it out of me if you hadn't arrived. You've broken the board's stranglehold on this colony, and you saved my life. But there's still so much we have yet to accomplish. You and I are going to have to work harder than ever to save Halcyon. I'm afraid the situation is far worse than any of us ever anticipated.
I don't like the sound of that at all.
Earth has gone dark. We haven't received a single message in 3 years. There's been no communication, no signals, nothing. 2 years ago, the Earth's Directorate's frigate disappeared on their way back to Earth. We don't know what they discovered when they arrived, or if they arrived at all.
So we've got to make do on our own. Seems to me that'll make us stronger in the end anyhow.
You're quite right. We've got no choice but to make do on our own.
You mean we're all alone out here? Really alone?
I'm afraid so, Miss Holcomb. Halcyon is the only home we have left. Returning to Earth is no longer an option. We're in serious trouble, my friend. Do you know what this means for Halcyon? We can't rely on Earth for support anymore. We've been cut loose. We're entirely on our own.
See, I think what happened is the board's been trying to take control of the colony away from Earth. Earth realised what was going on and just stopped talking to them. They're not sending any support because the board is just trying to use the colony to their own means. And that is why the chair, what's his face, the guy who was on Byzantium, the fella who was there from the Earth, the ambassador for Earth, he was arrested because I think they realised. Yeah, I think that they've been trying to take Halcyon out of Earth's control. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, but best get started.
Yes, we do. You've done a marvelous thing. You've succeeded where anyone else would have failed, including me. We must begin the revival process immediately, starting with the Hope's brightest minds, and then we're going to fix this damn colony, one problem at a time. We're going to need a leader, and I can't imagine a better person for the job than you. What do you say, old friend? Will you help us?
I'm going to run this colony by myself. I already convinced the chairman to take my side. You can count on me, I'll help you revive the colonists. Yay. I'm going to do what I've always done, whatever I want all the time. You can count on me, I'll help you revive the colonists. I'm going to run this colony myself, I've already convinced the chairman to take my side. You can count on me, I'll help you revive the colonists.
When I revived you, I thought you were going to help me save this colony. I was wrong. I had our roles reversed, you see. You're the one who's going to save us all. I'm just the one who set you on your path. You're the best thing to ever happen to Halcyon. If you want to take it upon yourself to lead this colony, you have my support. We're not a colony any longer, are we? Our last connection to Earth has been severed, and so we have been set free. Our future is uncertain, and no one knows what tomorrow holds. Exciting, isn't it?
The OSI teaches that everything in the universe happens according to the grand plan. But the stranger that arrived in Halcyon was an unplanned variable. From the moment he landed in Emerald Vale, his actions altered the course of history. The events on Tartarus brought about the end of the board's authority. But the board's mistakes would haunt the colony for decades to come. The damage they left behind would require the work of a generation to repair. Dr. Phineas Wells began reviving a handful of the Hope's colonists. Engineers, scientists, technicians, and intellectuals. They were among the brightest minds the Earth had ever sent out into the stars. The Hope scientists and engineers woke up in a colony descending headlong into total collapse. With no way to return to Earth, they had no choice but to band together and devote themselves to the cause of saving Halcyon. The people of Halcyon were nothing if not hardy. In the absence of the board's authority, many of the colony's settlements banded together with a single purpose in mind: survival. Life was especially hard in the years to come. Some towns dissolved by attrition and starvation, but most of them found a way to carry on. In the years to come, Halcyon was forced to reckon with its newfound freedom. The board was gone, and for better or worse, the colony was responsible for its own destiny. Between MSI's worker-centric policies and the iconoclast's manpower, Sanjar and Zora were able to rally many of the Terra 2 townships to their cause. MSI's workforce swelled, and the iconoclasts enjoyed a significant surge in their ranks. The board was too distracted by infighting and internal politics to stop MSI from becoming a powerful corporation and a refuge for townships that might have fallen through the cracks. Consumed by paranoia, Lilia Hagen took Sublight Salvage in a controversial direction, openly accusing board officials of an extraterrestrial conspiracy. One day, an accident at the Groundbreaker's docking bay silenced her forever. Time would tell if her replacement could keep the Sublight family together. Adelaide McDevitt replaced Reed Thompson as the leader of Edgewater. She and her followers transformed Edgewater in their image. Anyone loyal to Reed was pressured into leaving town, and those who stayed behind adapted to her way of life. Adelaide transformed the old cannery into a new garden. The nearby Edgewater Cemetery provided a convenient source of fertilizer. Under the leadership of Junlei Tennyson, the Groundbreaker held firm against corporate influence. The ship's mechanical stability gave Junlei the time to educate a promising generation of engineers schooled in her family's traditions. The future of the Groundbreaker looks promising. The rediscovery of the Hope and the abandonment of the lifetime employment program forced Byzantium to come to terms with some uncomfortable realities about the state of Halcyon. While Byzantines were reluctant to surrender the luxuries they'd grown accustomed to, the board's diminished authority gave them little choice in the matter. Nearly everyone had to learn to make do with less. Some even had to get jobs. It was a dark time indeed. Even the Gorgon asteroid, though a distant enigma to most of Halcyon, felt the aftershocks of your actions. Olivia and Minnie Ambrose worked together to cure the marauders Adrena Time had created. Through their partnership as scientist and administrator, they discovered the harmony that had eluded them as mother and daughter. And through years of patience and effort, they discovered a means to wean Halcyon from the scourge of Adrena time.
Aw.
Their work eventually allowed Wells and his scientists to treat many of Halcyon's marauders. As their addiction waned, the colonists who had lived for so long under the thrall of Adrena time returned to their communities and loved ones, and joined in the effort to save Halcyon. In spite of everything, the Gorgon asteroid remained a sobering reminder of the potential for progress and disaster in humanity's most ambitious efforts. Your influence shifted Ellie's perspective. She finally admitted, albeit grudgingly, that she just might need other people. Sometimes. With a steady income from the life insurance payouts, she was finally able to afford a ship of her own. She hired a small crew and flew supply missions to communities on the fringe. Some of them were even legal. Life in Halcyon was sobering for Felix Millstone. The grand revolution he dreamed of never came. There was no great awakening for the colony, no celebrations in the streets. There was only the hard, desperate work of trying to repair a broken colony. Felix never had a head for numbers, but if there was labor to be done, he was there to help. Eventually, Felix realized that the work of a revolution was done with two hands. As much as he enjoyed his adventures aboard the Unreliable, the vicar, known as Max, eventually decided that it was time to move on, to live out the life he had sought so long to create. He knew there were many in the colony who carried burdens much worse than the ones he had struggled with, and he devoted himself to easing their suffering wherever he could. He only ever took up arms again to defend the defenseless. Unshackled from a lifetime of striving and fighting the universe and himself, Vicar Maximilian de Soto was finally at peace. Though Parvati eventually grew comfortable aboard the Unreliable, she never quite came out of her shell. She seemed to prefer the company of Ada to the crew, and she could often be found neck-deep in cables and grease, telling Ada funny stories from her childhood.
What? Did we complete our side
While
story?
the colony fell into chaos, she found an island of relative peace with Ada, and they formed an unusual bond. She decided to remain aboard the Unreliable permanently as its chief and sole engineer.
I thought we completed our side
Nyoka
quest.
returned to Monarch to take another crack at making a permanent life for herself. She formed the Charon Group, a mercenary outfit of ragtag survivalists and wilderness experts. Anyone in need of a guide, or just looking to throw back a beer and swap stories, could find her camping on the trail, or clearing an infestation. The SAM unit that accompanied you spread awareness of the product line's superior sanitation and maintenance capabilities across what was left of the colony. This led to a boost in SAM unit sales. Did you know that SAM units are the longest-lasting, toughest-acting cleaning solution in Halcyon? Minister Clark was released from house arrest, and his contact with you gave him a sense of renewed purpose and vigor. Once it became clear that no help would be coming from Earth, he threw his considerable efforts and talents into helping Halcyon manage the crisis before it. It was widely suspected that Sophia Akande was the true power behind Chairman Rockwell. However, after the riots on Tartarus, she was never again seen in the colony. Various theories circulated as to her fate. Some believed she boarded an interstellar ship capable of journeying to a distant colony. Others believe she died trying to escape Tartarus. Some few suggest she fled to Monarch, where she continued to live among a small band of loyalists. There is another theory, which suggests that Sophia's encounter with you changed her, and she deliberately retreated from public view, but continued supporting the colony in secret. When Dr. Wells began reviving the Hope's colonists, he found himself with a sudden windfall of additional supplies
Yes.
and resources, courtesy of an anonymous donor. If Wells knew who his supplier was, he never told a soul. Chairman Rockwell served as the public face for the changes in Halcyon to come. Whenever you needed strings pulled or a voice to sell a policy change, Rockwell was only too happy to oblige. As for Dr. Phineas Wells, he spent his remaining years in his orbital lab. He eventually came to terms with his own past and was able to forgive the mistakes of his younger self by devoting his remaining years to serving the colony. Dr. Wells was able to revive many more scientists and engineers than he first expected, thanks to the additional batch of chemicals you stole from the Ministry. Wells never forgot about the human lives that were lost in acquiring these chemicals. In the end, Dr. Wells was able to save every scientist and engineer aboard the Hope. Over the next decade, nearly all of the Hope's remaining colonists were successfully revived. Halcyon saw a period of rapid technological and scientific advancement. Breakthroughs in dietary supplements saved the colony from starvation. Geoengineering projects and social reforms began to change the structure and character of the colony. Dr. Wells laid the groundwork for the project to save the colony, but he would never live to see the fruits of his labor. He passed away a few years later. His work was carried on by the scientists and engineers he revived. Today, Halcyon has stabilized. The people of the colony work hard to adapt to their new circumstances. Nearby colonies send aid and supplies. Life will never be easy in Halcyon, but for the first time in its history, there exists a sense of real, genuine hope about the future. And what about you, the unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon? Long after Wells passed away, you carried on his work with more energy, determination, and brilliance than he could ever muster. The years that followed were hard, but Halcyon survived by the efforts of the Hope's most promising colonists, the greatest of which was you. No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this: the name of the Unreliable and that of its intrepid captain will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.
Yeah, I'm going to wonder if one of the DLCs will let you find out what happened to Earth. No, because there's only one DLC released, there's still plenty of DLCs to go. I thought I completed Parvati's side quest, so... Well, if I ever load it up again to do another DLC, I can go and check out what happened to her side quest and try and make sure I complete it this time. I'm pretty sure she got with Jinli though. And she's supposed to be with Jinli and the ending. I must have missed something there. I'm pretty sure I completed her side quest though, but it never gave me Nguyen. Is that not the name of one of the people in the DLC? Okay. Anyway, yeah, so, yeah. Well, the Earth going dark though, I'm pretty sure that, like I said, that the Halcyon board was trying to take control of the system away from Earth, as in a whole situation like the colonists on America are revolting and trying to take control of America for themselves. I'm pretty sure that's what the board were up to, trying to take control of the colonies for themselves. There's actually quite a few, you know, what you call it, links between America's founding and the founding of this colony. Especially for all the bullshit that went on in the background of people, you know, trying to manipulate and abuse the citizens. It would be pretty much like the first Americans trying to abuse the Native Americans. Well, I say native, they weren't actually native, but the Native Americans are not native. No matter how much they want to tout themselves as being native, they aren't native. They came over the ice floes 1,000 years ago. They walked over the ice floes 1,000 years ago and settled in America. They were settlers, much like the British settlers and the French settlers, who became the people who became America and Canada. Dubois. I had been watching play through all. What do you call it? Disco Elysium. So Dubois kind of funny in the name. Anyway, yeah. So it is kind of like that situation of how America got formed is how this got formed. There's a lot of similarities here. How the natives weren't actually native, and how the natives are being abused by the board, was much like how the fucking American government abused the natives to get the money they needed to fund this new country. It was going to be tax-free. You know, tax-free. It's no longer tax-free like they promised back then, but you know, they got through by just selling off land that belonged to the people who had been living there for 1,000 years. But fair's fair. It was a war and they won it, so it just depends on your viewpoint on that. But I'm not getting into fucking American politics. I think Americans are all assholes. There goes half my audience. Alright, anyway, so yeah, I enjoyed this game. Okay, the ending there, I was moaning about the fucking killing me in 2 shots, and then I finally realised I'm wearing the wrong fucking armour. So okay, it wasn't that bad as I first thought. I was being an idiot and forgot to re-equip my armour that I had put on the other armour for off-camera work. That loop gun I got there at the end, I wonder if that's a reference to Prey. Because the glue gun you get in Prey, maybe. Oh my god, I'm tired. I only woke up about 4 hours ago. Yeah, I woke up 4 hours ago, went straight to the shops, got my shopping done, came back, watched the video what was having my breakfast, and then went straight on to recording this. I really want to see the next DLC. I want to know how many DLC are left as well. I'll have to look it up on Steam and see, but yeah, if the DLC comes out anytime, I might just come back and do a playthrough of the rest of it. And like I said, I'll try and get Parvati's quest done at that point. Yeah. Now at that ending though, fucking hell, a lot of high level things to pass to get that done. Fuck me, that was a brilliant one. Like I said, I wonder if I was able to hack that terminal where Melody was. Would I have to be able to do that without lying? And then the password to the RAM, whatever it was, and I never found a use for it. And there was that door I could go into for the colonists' hopes were the hopes colonists were locked away. Fuck me, how long does this last? Thinking things to talk about now. Because this thing is just taking too fucking long. I mean, there's a skip button probably. Possibly. Let's have a look. Yep. There we go. So thank you for watching and see you in the next adventure. I picked up a game called Control. One of my workmates has warned me about it though. That the game has its FPS is tied to the lighting system, which is kind of like Bethesda's tying the loading screens to the FPS. Whereas it doesn't matter how fast your PC is, the loading screens still take the same time because the FPS is locked by VSync. And it doesn't matter how powerful your computer is with Control because the lighting systems control the FPS because they're linked together. So you even just moving a box across a light will cause significant FPS drop. So I'll see how it goes. Thank you for watching.